Films and fermentation, movies and inebriation. Films and fermentation, comedy mixed with tasty libations. Films and fermentation, with Leo, Catman and Mike.
Yeah, I broke out the new theme and the new video for the live stream.
I watched. I looked at that picture. You know, just the three heads. I'm like, why do all those pictures look cracked?
It's supposed to be like an old timey painting kind of thing.
Oh, okay. Look, it's Kevin.
Yeah.
It's live.
Well, at least you heard about it. I heard about it from my wife at dinner.
I
live tonight. I'm like, what?
I decided the last minute to throw together a live episode because this is going to be our last one till after Thanksgiving, and forgot to tell Mike. And I knew you saw it because you reposted it a couple times. And
I did.
Forgot about it anyway.
Wow, yeah. I'm sitting there and I'm holding the boy, and I'm like, yeah, I can get my 2 more minutes.
It's all on me. You can blame it all on me because I decided to do this last minute, and
it's all good.
You know, I don't expect anybody to. I'm not sure if anybody's going to sign on or not. We'll see, but
Megan said, "So do I need to chirp in?" I said, "If you want, you know,
if you want, yeah." I said, Cthulhu Jack retweeted it for us and sent it out, so I don't know if he might pop in, and then.
Is there a way of seeing if we have people hopping on?
I had put in the announcement that we weren't going to be going live until 7:45, just to give us a few minutes together.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so I don't know.
You can edit that out, can't you?
Yeah, I'll take care of all this later.
Well, we should see them in the live streamer.
You'll see. It'll come up somewhere in the comments. Yeah, at some point if anybody's in there.
Yeah.
I just played our brand new theme with our brand new intro video. Mike and I were talking about like schedules for the next few episodes, so we won't be recording again until what did you say, Mike? It was December 5th, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
It's like the first week of December. We'll be recording again for the next week. We'll do a couple like Christmas episodes for December, and then December 19th will be our last recording, and we'll do the season finale. And then the season premiere won't be till sometime after New Year's. And then Mike had come up with the idea of our first episode of the new season being an in memoriam episode for all the actors who have passed away this year, because there were a lot of like big names this year.
Yeah.
So
yeah, well, like I said, we do 10 to 15, and each of us pick a movie for that actor that reminds us of that actor more than anything else. Yeah.
So I think it's a good idea. I think that'd be a good episode. And then Cthulhu Jack had messaged me when he saw that we were doing Planes, Trains, and Automobiles tonight, that's going to be his next video review as well. There's going to be a Planes, Trains, and Automobiles one, so I'm like, that's cool, you know. So hopefully a few people sign on. We'll see. So we still got like 5 minutes till we're live now and recording, but I will do a re-edit for the normal Tuesday release. So I'll take out some of the extraneous stuff.
So are we live on YouTube, or
we are live on YouTube right now.
Oh, okay.
So like if I'm going on YouTube now just to double check. And
yes,
there's our pretty faces.
So through the YouTube, do they chat through YouTube with us, or
there's a chat box on YouTube. They type their messages in there, and then it feeds into StreamYard. So we'll see. It feeds into StreamYard. Everything's connected that way. I actually just pulled it up just to see how it's going, and it's time delayed. So as I was talking to you guys, I was hearing what I just said to you like 10 seconds ago playing.
That would probably nice.
Yeah. So
is that in case you need to dump us?
Yeah. I think so. So speaking of that, I think I need to like edit out curse words now. Like put bleeps in because our last video was limited monetization because of foul language.
Oh, geez.
Oh,
And having re-listened to that episode twice now, we were a little overboard on that episode. Like more than we normally do. A few
okay.
here and there aren't bad, but like we were pretty excessive that last episode. I don't know what happened, but
Yeah, what did we do last episode that was so?
it was the weapons episode.
Oh, that's
There's
why.
a
Yeah.
lot of F-bombs, a lot of talking about chopping our junk off with lightsabers. I kept mentioning Dirk Diggler's pound
Yeah.
cake. So it's
So
anyway.
visiting Trogs
Yeah.
last week.
Yep.
Nice place.
yeah.
It's a really nice
Megan
place.
and I, when we go to Hershey, we try to go every year. We'd leave the park and get our hand stamped and go to Trogs for lunch and then go back to the park. Because you figure if you're going to spend that kind of money in the park for just chicken fingers or a slice of pizza or whatever, go to Trogs and get beer and then go back.
Exactly. But I got some good beers from there to try. I got a 12-pack for the Christmas party
Mhm.
with Mad Elf, Naked Elf, Mad Dreams, and
I like
Isn't there a Naked Elf? Isn't that one of
Yeah.
the ones?
That's one of the ones. Naked Elf, Mad Dreams, and like Ginger Snap Stout or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know you're not going to get it now because it's off season, but they have a pretty good Oktoberfest too. So like next fall, one to try out.
I don't know. I'm about to try out the Master of Pumpkins.
Pumpkin
It's a once a year ale brewed with Pennsylvania pumpkins and spices.
Nice. I got a theme drink for the night.
I do too. Well, I mean, it's a beer, but I picked it out. I have a mix and match from Total Wine
Nice.
because of what was going on. And what did I want? The one I'm definitely going to crack open. I don't think I'm going to have all 6 of these tonight. I may just limit it to 5. But
5.5 maybe.
Is it flannel? No. Farmstead flannel? No, this has to be this last one then. That's it. The pumpkin pie treat.
Nice.
So I have quite a few here. I got 3 Christmassy ones. Candy cane nitro from Left Hand Brewing. I got a pumpkin cider, hard cider. I got quite a few. So
I saw you took the little guy to Peddlers.
we did. We had a good time. That was Tuesday. Man, it was great. No one was there. We didn't have to wait for nothing. Did the gingerbread houses. He was entranced by the lights. We were able to have a decent dinner. He only got fussy towards the end. It was good. It was really good. We're aiming to do all our holiday things on like weekdays.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody's ever. Yeah. With a couple
speaking-
ones for the family that we're going to have to do on a weekend, but we're doing them together with family. So
speaking of holiday things, my family's coming up next week.
Yeah.
Kate and Leah likes to come over and see them. I don't know if Kevin, if you want to come over, you and Meg on coming over on Black Friday.
mm-hmm.
All of us get together on Black Friday with my family. My mother would probably love to see the baby, just because I think I'm a baby hog.
Where Mike gets it from.
I will bring it up to Megan and see
Yeah.
what we have lined up. We are not shoppers on Black Friday, so
Either way, so
that's not a thing. We are decorators, but I have the whole weekend and such.
well,
We're
since
already decorated because
Yeah.
it's been off.
Yeah.
well, Katie's been home, recouping for the last couple of weeks, so we are all decorated too because she was
Are you
bored.
really?
So yeah,
We haven't got the outside.
usually
but
not this early.
we're probably gonna do that next week because they're not gonna get here till like Wednesday, but I took Monday and Tuesday off too. So
You guys thought our neighbors did quite a show for Halloween. You should come by for Christmas. We have a Clark hanging from a drain from a gutter drain.
Funny.
We got quite the thing going on. It's pretty awesome.
All right.
I'm just going to put a sign up on my front lawn that says "See neighbors, happy holidays." See neighbors.
See neighbors.
that arrow says ditto.
Mhm.
We share a yard.
Well, they asked me. They're like, "Do you mind if some of our inflatables come on?" I was like, "No, you can move them a little bit more to the right." You know.
Take up as much space as you need.
Mhm.
Just don't block the cars. All right, I am going to get started then because it is 7:45. I don't know if I don't know if anybody's going to sign on. We'll see. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 174. This is our Thanksgiving Day special. Since this episode will be dropping right before Thanksgiving. Actually, we are live right now. We are recording live, something that we've only done a few times before, and in this case, something that came as a total surprise to Mike because I forgot to tell him beforehand. Because this was a last minute. Yeah, this is a last minute decision on my part since we're going to be not recording for a couple of weeks as we're going to take some time off for Thanksgiving. So our next episode won't be until sometime in December. So I thought, what the hell, let's go live. Let's see what happens. I don't know if anybody will join us. It'd be nice if they do. But if not, we have an episode here for you anyway. As I said, it's our Thanksgiving episode. And tonight we are taking a deep dive into one of our favorite holiday classics. One of the few movies that I would say is, just mostly Thanksgiving themed. And that is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Again, we are Films and Fermentation, a movie and alcohol podcast, the #1 pop culture podcast on Good Pods. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
We're three friends who like to talk shit about movies while getting shit-faced. In this episode...
I had to beep out those two,
Yes, yeah. We are three friends who like to talk movies while getting faced. In this episode, we should all try to do that tonight, right? As we're about to say a curse word, just go silent. Like you mother, you melon farmers.
You melon
In this
farmer.
in this episode, we are serving up a cinematic deep dive with a side of wit and a tall glass of nostalgia. We're hitting the road as we unpack planes, trains, and automobiles. The ultimate Thanksgiving travel nightmare. Directed by John Hughes and starring the comedic dream team of Steve Martin and John Candy, it's a film that proves the only thing worse than missing your flight is making your journey with that guy. So buckle up, grab a mini bottle of something strong, and join us as we laugh, cry, and cringe through this holiday classic. Just remember, those aren't pillows.
Ah!
See that Bears game? Help a team. Don't forget to drop us an email at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsandfermentation to find all of our social media and podcast links. Become part of the Films and Fermentation family by supporting us on Patreon. Remember, we are an independent podcast, which means we are listener supported. So please consider joining our Patreon for as little as $1 a month to receive members-only content. Go to patreon.com/filmsandfermentation or buy our merchandise at teespring.com. You can now text us.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But we're going to
I
say,
was just going to say Patreon participants get free photos of Mike's feet as part of your monthly subscription.
yes, free photos of Mike's feet. I was trying to think of something else inappropriate to say.
I don't know if you have pictures of my feet.
It's the toe of the month.
You get a new one every month.
That's kind of hard. I only have 10.
It's weird. I was going to say that's weird. Mike has 12 toes.
No, I only have 10. Sorry, but that's not a toe.
It's a pink.
That bunion counts.
You can now text us your comments, questions. If you're upset about anything we say, you can let us know at 904-867-4466. What are we drinking tonight, gentlemen? So Mike just took a trip to Trogs. I'm assuming he's trogging it out tonight.
I am trogging it out with the master of pumpkins. This It takes a long time to plant, raise, pick, slice, clean, and roast 3,000 pounds of local Pennsylvania pumpkins. But come fall, Master of Pumpkins takes shape and suits the season just so. Subtly spiced with cinnamon, clove, ginger, and nutmeg. This is a pumpkin beer that's worth the wait. It is 7.5 alcohol by volume. So once a year, uh, pumpkin ale, a barrel, yeah, pumpkin ale. That's all it is.
All right.
Boys.
Kev, what do you
Good.
got going on tonight?
I went out to Total Wine and More and got myself a mix six. And I'm going to work my way a little bit through. I'm sure I'll have enough time to get through at least two of these. And I think I'm going to start with the double nickel Farmstead Flannel, which is an apple cider donut milkshake IPA.
Whoa, that's a lot.
Yeah, right. It's got brewed with cinnamon, vanilla, brown sugar, and lactose. They're out of Pennsauken, New Jersey, not too far from here. It's 7.2% alcohol by volume. I'm going to start with that. And even though that all sounds like a dessert, I'm going to move on to dessert right after, which is a pumpkin pie treat, which is a sour ale with pumpkin pie spices blended and toasted marshmallow flavor. And they are out of Prairie Artisan Ales. 5.5% alcohol by volume. And they are out of, I'm sorry, they are actually Krebs Brewing Company out of Oklahoma, where the winds go. So that's where we're going to start off. And as if I progress beyond those two, I'll make sure to mention what I'm then cracking open.
Nice. So I went theme tonight in honor of our movie that we're talking about this evening, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. There's a very pivotal scene later in the film where they're sharing a motel room and bonding over some little bottles of alcohol from the mini fridge. So in honor of that scene, I am drinking some mini bottles of alcohol this evening. So I have two little mini bottles of Maker's Mark. I've already polished one off. And I got another one over here ready to go. So that is what I'm doing this evening, a little homage to the movie. Mike,
as I was rewatching it and I was looking and saying, thinking, how could they afford the mini fridge? And then, I watched the following scene and it's like, okay, they don't care.
Yeah, no,
they don't care.
They're driving around in a melted car. I don't think they care right now.
They don't care. They just crashed into the back of the hotel room. They don't care.
And he's like, Mike, anything special happened this week?
This week in film history. 1928, Walt Disney Steamboat Willie is released, the first Mickey Mouse sound cartoon.
You guys are doing a great job. Keep it up. Keep up that whistling.
Well, all I heard from Leah was.
That's what you hear from me normally because I'm usually breathing heavy into the mic anyway. Steamboat Willie.
It sounded like you were trying to do a tune with you. There you go.
All right. What's the next one you got there, sir?
1931 horror film Frankenstein is released, starring Boris Karloff as the monster, directed by James Whale, and based on Mary Shelley's 1818 novel Frankenstein, or the Modern Prometheus.
And a film that we have talked about extensively because we did a whole Universal Monster Movie recast episode. 3 years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. It was probably season 2 or 3. I was one of our early guest episodes. We had one of the guys from the Recast the 2.0 podcast on there that night with us. What's the next one you got there, sir?
1959, Ben-Hur, directed by William Wyler and starring Charlton Heston, premieres in New York City, Academy Award Best Picture, 1960.
All right. Also Best Actor, Charlton Heston. I've seen Ben-Hur once.
and
Um,
a horrific death scene that actually someone died in.
yes, the chariot scene.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is one of those early stunts that were not very well crafted.
OSHA wasn't quite around then.
Could have been worse. It could have been a helicopter blade.
Yeah, right. And then still release the movie anyway, even though it decapitated the main actor and killed 2 children. Let's release the film anyway. Yeah,
We're not losing money on this one, boys.
we got insurance. I've seen Ben-Hur once, and I think once was enough because it is a long movie.
Yeah, it's a
And
long.
if I'm going to watch a really long Charlton Heston film, it's probably going to be The Ten Commandments. That one's a lot more.
Not the robe.
No, not The Robe. What's the next one you got there, sir?
1975 film adaptation of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, based stage adaptation of novel by Ken Kesey, directed by Milos Forman and starring Jack Nicholson and Louise Fletcher, is released. Academy Award Best Picture 1976.
I think this is one of the few films to have won like the big 5 because it won Best Picture, Best Director. Nicholson won Best Actor, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Louise Fletcher won Best Actress, and it won Screenplay. So it's like one of the big 5, I believe. It's a good movie.
This had a lot of big names. This had, big names before they were big. DeVito and Christopher Lloyd, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And this is like very early Jack.
Yeah.
He was just starting to come around.
Yeah, and I think Netflix, was it Netflix who did a series off of the Nurse Ratched character? It was a limited series. Megan watched it. I could not. It was a little too gruesome for me.
Yeah,
As you guys know, I don't handle
it.
That well.
Sounds familiar, but I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just fixed the date on the next one there, Mike. The date was wrong. I know you copied it from another site, but that was a typo. I know for sure that this is the year this movie came out, and that it's the year it won Best Picture. So go ahead.
1975 Rocky, directed by John G. Alvinson,
Yeah.
Alvinson, and starring Sylvester Stallone, premieres in New York. Best Picture 1975.
Yes, a surprise Best Picture winner in 1975. Because it's technically like an indie film because it was a very small budget. Next one you got there, sir.
This next one's for you, Lee.
Okay.
1980 Heaven's Gate, film directed by Michael Cimino, starring Chris Christopherson and Christopher Walken, premieres. One of the biggest box office bombs ever.
I can honestly say I've never seen this one. I know of it because I know a lot about box office bombs, and I know it's like up there with
Walken too. So
yeah, it's Christopher Walken, and it's like up there with like Ishtar is like one of the biggest like box office disappointments ever.
Is this where the cult got its name from?
Maybe, I don't know. I have no idea. The crazy dude with the eyes. Yeah, I have no idea.
The Nikes.
So this was like a big bomb and a disappointment because Michael Cimino was coming off a Best Director Oscar for The Deer Hunter just a couple years before this. So this was supposed to be like his big follow-up film. Next one you got.
1983 MGM UA releases nostalgic holiday film A Christmas Story, starring Peter Billingsley and Darren McGavin, based on an anecdote from humorist Gene Shepard.
Gene Shepard actually is the narrator in the film. Yeah.
Not my favorite Christmas film.
I like this movie, but I always find it weird that it came out in 1983. I always feel like it's an older movie.
It feels like a 70s movie. Yeah.
It feels like a 70s, like it takes place in the 50s, but it feels like a 70s movie.
I don't know, because when did Little Orphan Annie come out? The one
that was also in the 80s, early
80s, and it had that same feel, that same look.
Yeah.
You know, I think this movie. It's one of my favorite Christmas.
Yeah, I like this movie too.
To watch. Did you see the sequel that they did, or the?
No, I didn't watch it.
It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible though.
Yeah, I didn't hear great reviews about it. You know what it could be with this too, because it's 1983, so it's only a few years into the 80s. So some of those movies still had that 70s feel to it too, which
And
could
it was put
explain
out
it.
by MGM and United Artists. I mean, they don't have
Yeah.
the kind of money to update their programs.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Next one you got there, Sarah.
1992, Malcolm X, film directed by Spike Lee, starring Denzel Washington and Angela Bassett, is released in the U.S.
This is the year that I think this is the year that Tom Hanks won for Forrest Gump, maybe, because it was like Denzel probably should have won for Malcolm X, but I don't remember off the top of my head. I know it was like somebody that people weren't expecting to win. This next one hits a little bit after that video that you shared with us yesterday, Kev.
Yeah,
The next two.
Yeah, go for it.
1994, Star Trek Generations, film directed by David Carson and starring Patrick Stewart, premieres.
And
thoughts on Generations?
Well, I was gonna say it's
Not my
the
favorite Star Trek movie.
They could have done a better job introducing the next gen to like the big screen.
yeah, I agree.
There are a lot of things that they just could have done better.
I mean, the big thing from this film is that it's the death of Kirk, which I know upset a lot of people who are major Star Trek fans. And I remember seeing this in the theater and people crying and as they were leaving, and I was like, boy, these people are weird. But it's not like I haven't done that before either. So
I had gone to the movies with my father to see this, but my sister and mother were in another theater over watching Little Women because they didn't want to watch Star Trek, and I don't blame them. That's okay.
Yeah. But I remember, so this is, and that's why I said that video you sent yesterday, which anybody has not seen it yet.
Oh my God.
Really good short film. You can find it on YouTube. It's about 8 minutes long. It's called Unification, and it's no dialogue whatsoever. Entire video, just all, and that the guy. So it's Shatner, obviously, and it's a DH Shatner, but the guy playing the young Shatner from the original Star Trek series. So it's Shatner's face superimposed on this actor. It's Sam Witwer, who's the actor that did the voice of Darth Maul in the Clone Wars series. Yeah, he's the actor behind it. I saw like the behind the scenes stuff for it. It was really cool, and it's such a good like revisit. It's a good tribute and a good like revisitation to what Star Trek used to be. Like it really feels like that old Star Trek that we grew up with. So. Yeah. It was amazing, and that was the actress who played Saavik in the in the Search for Spock. I looked it up here. The year that Denzel was nominated for Malcolm X, he lost to Al Pacino for Scent of a Woman.
Yeah.
Hooah! That was a career for him. What an ass! You got your head way up it.
Just getting warmed up.
So getting back to some Star Trek facts. What's your next one there, Mike?
1996 Star Trek: The First Contact, directed by Jonathan Frakes and starring Patrick Stewart and Jonathan Frakes, is released.
Yes, I like First Contact.
Yeah, that was a much better movie.
Yes.
I think it's the best of the next gen films.
This was the Cochrane story, right? This was where they go back.
Cochrane, yeah. This is like, to me, it's like
it's like a really long episode.
Yeah, to me, it's what Wrath of Khan was to the original film.
Yeah.
Whereas the first film was kind of like, but the second film really got back to where the show came from.
Right.
And so, like, First Contact and Wrath of Khan, for me, both did the same thing with their respective Star Trek shows.
This is where Picard becomes Ahab.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, yes.
Broke your little ship. The next one after that was Insurrection, which is a pretty forgettable film. That one really feels like an extra long next gen episode.
I really don't know if I watched all the next gen movies.
Insurrection was okay, and then the last one was Nemesis, which isn't too bad.
Okay.
That one has Tom Hardy as a young cloned version of Patrick Stewart. Some more James Bond facts. We've had a lot of James Bond facts lately.
This is the time of year things get put. Put out.
Yeah.
2002, Die Another Day, 20th James Bond film release, directed by Lee Tamahori,
Mhm.
starring Pierce Brosnan and Halle Berry. Brosnan's last turn in the role.
Yeah, I know the takeaway from this film is Halle Berry doing the recreation of the Ursula Andress walking out of the water in the bikini scene.
Yeah.
And your last one, sir.
2005, 20th Century Fox releases Walk the Line, starring Joaquin Phoenix as Johnny Cash and Reese Witherspoon as June Carter, and directed by James Mangold. Witherspoon wins the Academy Award.
It's a good movie. I like Walk the Line.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as somebody who's a Johnny Cash fan, I kind of, I dug it, and I thought it was one of the better, like, biography movies that I've seen. And the actors do all their own singing.
What was the spoof that they did of this?
Oh, that was Walk Hard, the Dewey
Walk
Cox
Hard.
story with
That's right.
John C. Reilly. Another movie where there's unexpected, man packages on screen.
Not a toe.
It's a pretty funny movie though. I like that movie too. But Walk the Line, I like Walk the Line. And I like that the actors do their own singing in it, which is always a fun thing. Mike, you have any must-try beer or craft destinations for us this evening?
I have a must-try beer. Edering Weizenbier Dunkel from Edering, Germany. A good Dunkelweizen is a wonderful thing, and Edering makes one of the better traditional versions available. Sadly, this is a style most craft brewers avoid. But back in Bavaria, where every Franconian town seems to have its own take on Weiss beer, you can still find excellent examples. Pour this 5.3 ABV wheat ale into your tall glass, and you will be rewarded with a thick mop of light beige foam over a dark reddish brown brew. The carbonation will be, shall we say,
We're live, Michael.
Shall we say?
I can't. It's the
Is it a German word?
No, the French just messed up. It just like it got a line through it. I didn't read it before we got this.
Shall we say wunderbar?
Wunderbar.
Wunderbar.
Cloves and wheat malt first, and then a hint of cinnamon and a bit of banana. Dark bread is the flavor. Roast nuts, toffee. No tartness, just chewy, dark wheat ale with lots of bubbles, as God intended.
As God intended.
It's a bit nuts.
Advice.
And now it's time for beer news. I think just news tonight. We'll see.
Hey, before you get started, Kev, I have to say something about one of your prior beer newses. I checked in on the New Holland Brewing D20 brew.
Mm-hmm.
Dungeons and Dragons brew. Yeah,
the Dungeons and Dragons brew. Unless you can afford a $50 bottle for just a bottle of beer, don't worry about it.
$50 a bottle.
A bottle.
I would think I'd want to sample that first.
But you can
Just
buy
like-
the bottle and the dice tower for $99.99.
Oh, wow.
Still not the most expensive bottle of beer that Kevin and I have experienced. That was the Utopia at Sam Adams Brewery. That was $250 a bottle.
Did you buy it?
No.
We got this. We weren't even allowed to. We weren't even allowed to taste it. We were allowed to sniff the bottle.
I look over at Lee, and he's trying to put it behind his ear. You know, he's like, oh.
I like when the girl goes, "This goes really good. This goes really good with waffles because it's very syrupy." And I was like, "You might have a problem, ma'am." So, what do you got for us tonight, Kev?
All right, gentlemen, straight from the Washington Beer Blog. This is the first story I've ever gotten from them. When you get lost, a film involving craft beer and breweries. Someone contacted this blogger recently to introduce a new film that includes craft beer as a theme in the story for When You Get Lost. It's not something that happens very often. Craft beer is seldom a topic approached in cinema. That's an understatement. Craft beer is rarely even mentioned in movies. When You Get Lost is not a film about craft beer per se, but craft beer and craft breweries are important elements of the story. Oh, excuse me. You can stream the movie on Amazon Prime and other platforms mentioned below. The film is cute and touching, and it does involve craft beer and breweries. The first stop, just a few minutes into the movie, is Moylan's Brewing in Novato, California. For beer travelers who've explored the Pacific coast of Northern California and Oregon, some of the locations will seem very similar. The screenwriter and co-star Jennifer Sorensen has some background working in the craft beer industry, so she brings some authenticity to the story. For When You Get Lost is described as an award-winning indie comedy that toasts the bonds of family, friendship, and craft beer. The tale is based on a road trip that took Jennifer Sorensen, the film's screenwriter and co-star, from Northern California up to the Oregon coast and into Washington. Along the way, breweries and beers happen. The film synopsis says, in an uplifting and emotionally charged comedy inspired by a real road trip, June Stevenson, played by Sorensen, drags her estranged sisters on a road trip up the Pacific coast to make amends with their difficult father. Along the way, she distracts herself with picturesque landmarks, craft breweries, and picturesque men in craft breweries. But ultimately, she must face the fact that there's more to her family's fractures than she thought. Along the way, the lead character bonds with her estranged sisters as they visit landmarks and memorable breweries like Six Rivers Brewery, Lost Coast Brewery, Redwood Curtain Brewery, and others. To help create the story, Jennifer Sorensen drew her extensive experience in the craft beer world. For When You Get Lost, premiered for streaming on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Vudu, and Fandango at home on November 15th. And it's got a few awards right now. Austin Film Festival 2023 Audience Award winner. Cinetopia Film Festival 2024 Audience Award winner. Julian Dibecue International Film Festival 2024 Audience Choice. And Durango Film Festival 2024 Audience Award and Best Narrative. So, gentlemen, if you're looking for a new movie, Lee, to check out in your free time for When You Get Lost, Val's Breweries.
I like the part where you said beers and breweries just happen. They just happen, you know?
It just happened. Okay, this is out of Texas, I believe. San Antonio. No, I'm sorry, California. My bad. Another one out of California. The BCSO searching for a man accused of stealing beer, hitting woman with a full beer can.
Oh,
Bad use of beer, gentlemen. Deputies say the woman laughed at the suspect when he tripped and fell, so he threw a beer at her and hit her in the head. The Bexar County Sheriff's Office is searching for a suspect who stole some beer from a convenience store, then threw a full beer at a woman, hitting her in the head. It happened on November 6th at Fisher's.
It was a drive-by canning.
It was a drive-by kegging at Fisher's gas station at Marbeck Road at West Loop, 1604 on the west side of town. Got that, gentlemen? Because it's going to come in handy later.
Got that?
When deputies arrived, they found a woman with a noticeable bump on her forehead. She told the deputies that a man in a red sweater and black shorts went inside the store, grabbed 2 18-packs of Michelob Ultra, and ran out. And you can do 2 18-packs because Michelob Ultra is really light. I mean, it's got fewer calories.
It's an ultra beer.
It's ultra. She said she followed him and saw him trip and fall and laughed. And when the man threw a full beer can at her from about 6 or 7 feet away, hit her straight on the forehead, causing a big bump. The suspect drove off, heading down Marbeck Road toward Loop 1604 and turning south towards Highway 90. See, I told you it would come in handy later. The vehicle was described as an older model, single cab, white truck, and the man in the red hood was not wearing a mask. If you recognize the suspect in the red sweatshirt, please call. And then there's a phone number associated with it, which I'm not going to put out there for any of our live viewers or listeners.
Oh, you didn't even put the
There
picture
may
up.
be.
So why would you?
That's right. I didn't. It may have been Santa that was stealing the Michelob Ultras. It didn't say anything about a beard, though. All right, gentlemen. Last story is Miller Lite's new Yule Lager is the fireplace keg combo you never knew you needed. You never knew you needed a Miller Lite Yule
Miller
Lager,
Lite?
did you?
I never knew I needed a Miller Lite either. It's Miller time.
It is kind of interesting looking, though. If you can
Tastes
click on
great.
the link and get a
Let's
glance at this thing.
Tastes great. Less filling. Tastes great. Less filling.
Tagline for this is the Wisconsin-based beer brand aims to turn holiday time into Miller time.
It's Miller time.
Miller Lite is here to make your festive season a little more cheerful and a lot more beerful. On Tuesday, the Wisconsin-based beer
I
brand
see what they did
announced
there.
that it's releasing a limited edition Miller Lite Yule Lager, which acts as a single piece of furniture holding everything you need for a great holiday season. As a beer brand known for going all out during the holidays, we wanted to create an epic item that encourages fans to come together with friends and family over something as simple and satisfying as Miller Lite. Alan Bremerkamp, the director of marketing for Miller Lite, shared. That's why we created the Miller Lite Yule Lager. Whether you like to go all out for the holidays or just keep things simple, the Miller Lite Yule Lager puts an all-new twist on gathering around the fire during all your festive moments. Thank you, Leah. Just put
It
it
is right there. Yeah. The Miller Lite Yule Lager.
The brand explained.
Is that a tower tap?
That's a tap. That's a tower tap. Scroll further down on that website, man. You get a better look. The brand explained that the Yule Lager is a digital beer pouring fireplace that offers fans a festive new way of savor the sights, sounds, and great tasting sips of the holiday season. As for the specifics, the Yule Lager includes a custom Beer Blaze LED screen that makes it look like you've got a real blazing fire going, along with a custom audio track so fans can enjoy the sounds of the crackling faux fire paired with the satisfying pop.
Oh, what? You got to hand fill it too?
Yeah, you got to hand fill it. I mean, it should at least connect to the cans underneath or something.
Yeah.
The Yule Lager also includes an extra beer storage space designed to keep Miller Lite at its perfect temperature, along with built-in stocking hooks so that you can hang yours and your faux chimney with care.
I'd rather save my money for the D&D beer.
It's also got that. Only this time, it is insulated, fully removable chimney-inspired beer tower that allows fans to pour ice-cold Miller Lite straight from the beautifully crafted wooden base of the Yule Lager, turning holiday time into Miller time. According to the beer company, setting up the Yule Lager is also rather easy. All you have to do is lug in the base, attach the chimney, add the beer to the top of the tower, and you're all set. Fans who are 21 years and older naturally can get their hands on it starting on November 22nd. That's tomorrow. Or is it 2 days from now?
That's
tomorrow.
That's tomorrow. Yeah.
As
of this recording, it is Friday, November 22nd.
Shop.MillerLite.com. It'll only be available while supplies last. So if you're into it, you better snag it quickly. However, if you miss out, you won't be at a total loss, as you can always stream the Yule Lager Fire via the brand's YouTube page all season long. The only thing that looks bad about this is it's pouring you Miller Lite. You know, everything else.
I got a fix for it. You get some holiday stickers, put it all over where it says Miller, and put whatever beer you want.
Yeah.
I would keep this in my man cave. Well, I would need a man cave first, but then I would put this in my man cave.
Yeah, we got to get your basement ready for that. Come on, man.
I was like, can I just buy the fireplace accoutrement and not the beer? Like,
And that, gentlemen,
All right.
is your beer news for this week, this episode.
Awesome. All right, so we're gonna take a quick break, play some words from our sponsor, Coffee Brothers, and then we'll be back with our main segment, a deep dive into planes, trains, and automobiles.
I love a good beer, but right now I can use a good cup of coffee.
Have you heard about Coffee Brothers?
Oh yeah, they're that coffee company out of New York, right?
Well, they're more like a coffee wizards of New York City. They source these amazing seasonal blends and single origin coffees. It's like a flavor adventure in every cup. And get this, they roast everything in small batches. None of that mass-produced stuff. It's like each bean gets the VIB treatment.
VIB.
Very important bean.
Sounds fancy, but is it worth it?
Definitely. Plus, they're a two-person team. I mean, that's dedication right there. Two brothers, one mission to caffeinate the world. And right now, you can save 10% on your order. I mean, who doesn't love a good discount?
All right, you've convinced me. Let's get some Coffee Brothers now.
Coffee Brothers, where every cup is a sip of perfection. Save 10% on your next order with the code FNF10. That's FNF10. Cheers to great coffee. We are back.
Yay!
Quick break. Waiting for Mike here to get back, and then we'll be
Mike.
Yeah. Be diving into our main topic in a moment. So we wait for Mike to come back.
I rewatched it recently. I took notes. I can't find those notes anywhere.
Don't worry about it. I took extensive notes, and I even gave you guys a link to the notes on the show notes. So
Nice.
I feel like I can't hear my. Oh, there we go. I couldn't hear myself. I'm like, there we go. Next and go now. So while we get wait for Mike to get back here, before we do a little deep dive into the movie, I have a little clip of the trailer for the film that I'm going to play for you right now. So here's the trailer for the 1987 Thanksgiving classic, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
During holiday travel, some people get delirious. Some get delayed. And some get Del Griffin.
American Light and Fixture, Director of Sales, Shower Curtain Ring Division.
Neil Page got all three.
I was on my way home to spend a nice holiday with my family. Instead, I'm in a motel bed with a stranger.
So instead of Thanksgiving with his family, he's spending 3 days with the turkey.
Two happy clams just whistling down the road.
Flintstones, meet the Flintstones, they're the Marconi family.
Paramount Pictures presents
Wilma!
Steve Martin,
You ever been to Hawaii?
Yeah.
You see Don Ho while you were there?
See the second show. That's the best one.
Is that right?
Yeah.
John Candy,
Why are you holding my hand? Where's your other hand? Between two pillows. Those aren't pillows.
in a new film by John Hughes. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
See that Bears game last week? Yeah, hell of a game, hell of a game.
I just
Okay,
noticed
how
for
about
the first time there's a scene there in that trailer that isn't in the movie. And they're driving in the car, and he goes, "You ever been to Hawaii? Yeah. Have you seen Don Ho? Yeah. You should go to the second show. That's the better one." Like that wasn't in the in the film, at least that I remember.
I don't recall hearing that or seeing that.
So as I said, this film came out in 1987. Was written and directed by John Hughes, one of the few John Hughes movies to not deal with teen angst and coming of age. Stars Steve Martin as Neil Page and John Candy as Del Griffith. Has a 7.6 on IMDb. It's a pretty good rating. 92% fresh critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and an 88% audience score. It's very rare that the audience score is lower than the critic score for like any movie.
Yeah.
Had a $15 million budget. Made $50 million worldwide. Most of that money was domestic, which isn't shocking when you consider it's a film about like an American holiday. But overall, it finished number 21 at the box office for 1987. If you go back to one of our previous episodes, we did a whole deep dive this year in film history for 1987. Talked about this film briefly and all the other films that came out that year. This is the year of Die Hard, RoboCop, Predator, and a bunch of other really great films. So here is the IMDb synopsis. A Chicago advertising man must struggle to travel home from New York for Thanksgiving with a lovable oaf of a shower curtain ring salesman as his only companion. That definitely doesn't sell me on the film if I had never seen this before.
Yeah,
So therefore, I wrote my own personal summary.
Mhm.
I gave you guys a link to it if you'd like to have it up on your screens for yourselves. Feel free to jump in at any point as I do this synopsis. It's similar to the one I did for 10 Commandments in that I tried to have some fun with it. So here we go. Here is my working summary of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Scene 1. We find out that Steve Martin is an ad executive on business in New York, and he works with Ferris Bueller's dad. And he is trying to get home to Chicago for Thanksgiving, but can't get to the cab because sudden Kevin Bacon and a really quick cameo role steals the cab from him.
he was
should have
footloose getting to that thing. Isn't
He was, yeah, this is very early Kevin Bacon. Ferris's dad had offered to take him out for drinks since it was going to take him a while to get to the plane anyway. He should have went for that drink. I can't imagine Steve Martin's wife was so icy she wouldn't understand the headache of holiday travel from New York to Chicago and forgive him for being a few hours later than he said he was. But then we cut to the next scene where what's that?
Considering how long it did take him.
Yeah, it was only did take him. We cut to the next scene where we see his home in Chicago, and sudden baby Matthew Lawrence plays his son. His wife is played by the actress who plays Grace Mallory on The Boys. John Candy is introduced to us here in the airport. He's reading from a book called The Canadian Mounted, which is apparently porn from what by the looks of the cover. I looked it up because that's what I do, and it's not a real book. You should see my search history now.
Leo going that extra mile.
Going that extra mile, always doing the research.
Always
not a real
120%.
Yeah, not a real book, but eventually became the title of the film's history, which is The Canadian Mounted, the story of planes, trains, and automobiles. And you can actually see Deadpool reading that book in a scene in the original Deadpool film. He's laying in bed reading The Canadian Mounted. Only John Candy can make a character as abrasive as Del Griffith, also charming and lovable. He is really an annoying character. But for some reason, because it's John Candy, I would say you kind of dig him. Anyway, we cut to them on the plane, and they're hitting some turbulence because of a storm. It looks like they're probably going to have to land the plane somewhere else. We get what is possibly my new favorite phrase, and I can't wait to use this myself. $6 in my right nut. We're not going to be landing in Chicago tonight. Just the first of many banger quotes from John Candy in this film. They end up getting stuck in Wichita. Sudden Ben Stein working the counter at the airport. Lot of cameos in this film. They get a ride with Doobie's Taxiola. Not the kind of taxi service I expect to see in Wichita, Kansas. It looks to me more like something you would find in like Reno. But it takes them to a motel room that is so shitty even the Winchester brothers wouldn't stay there. Wow. That's for Mike. That's a supernatural deep cut just for Mike. Del is smoking in the hotel room, and I wrote, the 80s.
Yes, the 80s.
He's making really loud noises and shifting around in bed a lot and trying to clear his sinuses so he doesn't snore all night. And I said, at this point, myself personally, I might have put a pillow over his face. At this point, we get a rant from Neil, the Steve Martin character, and it's a rant about how obnoxious and annoying and loathsome and all that John Candy's character is. And I know the hotel rant is meant to make you feel that Del feel bad for Dell and sell that Neil is a tight ass who needs to lighten up, but honestly, he wasn't all that wrong. They go to sleep that night, and sudden Dave from summer school shows up and steals all their shit. Cut to the famous hotel accidental proctology scene that we saw in the trailer. Those aren't pillows. Why are you kissing my ear? Why are you holding my hand? Where's your other hand? Between two pillows. Those are red pillows. Oh, see that Bears game last week? Yeah, hell of a team. I think they're going to go away this year. Now, my recollection from this, because I hadn't seen this in a while, was that scene came much later in the film, but it really was pretty early into the film at this point.
Yeah.
The movie is a very breezy hour and 37 minutes.
Yeah.
And so this happens like maybe 25 minutes into the film. So next scene, they're at the diner. Once again, they're smoking the 80s. We find out that he's friends with this guy, Gus, at the hotel, and he got his son, Gus's son's going to give him a ride to the train station. Gus's son shows up, sudden Dylan Baker, and possibly my favorite cameo in the entire movie, where he's consistently violently snorting while maintaining strict eye contact with Steve Martin the whole time. And we get introduced to his tiny wife, who may be small, but she's really strong. After all, she pushed the first baby out sideways. They give him a ride to the train station, but they have to ride in the back of the pickup in the freezing cold. They're finally on the train. They get separated, sitting in different areas. And in case you weren't aware that this happened in the 80s, the girl sitting next to Neil on the train is reading a magazine with the headline, Why We Love Family Ties. At the St. Louis bus stop. Oh, so the train breaks down. They have to get off. They're in St. Louis now. He's at a bus stop in St. Louis. They need money. So Dell begins selling the shower curtain rings as earrings instead, convincing people that there are all these different types of earrings, and in the process invents the large gauge that people use to stretch your earlobes out. They part ways. Neil attempts to rent a car in a situation that leads to one of the most epic rants in film history, which we will talk about in quotes from the film. And we get sudden Edie McClurg. One of my other favorite cameos.
That rant is more epic than my X-Men rant way back season 1.
wait till I read that in the quote segment, and I have to try to edit myself as I'm reading it.
Good luck.
Wait, this is great. So I watch it with subtitles. A, because I like to just see what they're saying, and B, because I'm old and deaf in my right ear, and it just makes it easier to watch a film. So when she's on the phone, as he's approaching the counter, she's on the phone talking to one of her family members, and she's talking about the turkey and all that stuff, and she makes like the turkey gobbling sound, like like that. Yeah. In the subtitles, it says makes ululating sounds. Ululation is like the technical term for the turkey gobble. And I said to myself, I really love it when the subtitles use SAT vocabulary words. At this point, Dell returns in a beat up old station wagon, and Neil gets lifted up by his testicles by an angry taxi cab driver. This turns into the car ride from hell, literally. Dell turns into the devil briefly during this scene. They're driving the wrong way on the highway, and there's a couple screaming at them, "You're on the wrong way, go the wrong way!" And you get a great line reading from Candy here where he goes, "He's drunk. How would he know where we're going?" They finally pull over after almost dying. The car catches on fire. They both start cracking up laughing, showing you that they're really starting to lose their shit together now. Cut to the next cheap motel that they stay at, where apparently $2 and a Casio watch won't get you a cheap room. And this is the scene in which I based my drink choice off of. It's the little bonding scene that they have where they're getting drunk on the mini bottles of alcohol and learning a little bit more about themselves. The next day, they're driving in a melted car. They have no idea how fast they're going because the speedometer has also melted. They get pulled over by the state trooper. Sudden Lenny from Laverne and Shirley. Another great line reading from Candy here. She's not much to look at, but she'll get you where she needs to go. You know how fast you were going, sir? Oh, I don't know. 50, 55, 78. At this point, they finally make it back to Chicago. They're on the. They're getting on the. He's getting on the train to go to his family. Steve Martin and John Candy part ways. They say goodbye to each other. You cut to John Candy sitting alone at the station with his big trunk that he's been carrying around the whole movie. Steve Martin in the train, thinking about all the adventures that they had together, laughing to himself. He finally starts putting some of the facts together as he remembers things that Dell told him about his life and how he has been home in years and all this other stuff. And he feels that he needs to go back and find Dell and invite him to his house for Thanksgiving. This is where we find out that Dell's wife has been dead for 8 years, and this is why he hasn't returned home. And I said, no one is better at ending a comedy with an emotional gut punch, much like John Hughes.
Yeah.
Like, he really knows how to hit you in the gut after you spend all this time laughing. So along the way, Neil discovers that Dell is like glitter. Once he's in your life, he's impossible to shake off no matter how hard you try. Dell, meanwhile, teaches Neil the true meaning of friendship, or Stockholm Syndrome, depending on your perspective of the film. Luckily, Neil gets home when he did, because I had a feeling Agent Mallory was getting ready to send Homelander after him. They kiss. He says hi to the family, the kids, introduces them to Dell. Movie ends with a freeze frame on John Candy's smile. Where do they go from here? Who knows? It's over.
John Candy's wife is in the. She's in the tote. She's in the Foot Locker.
Never opened the Foot Locker
8
up.
years,
He's got her
and
body
she
in
just
there.
keeps carrying her around.
It's why
It's
so
lighter and lighter because
this is the second movie that John Candy was in where he had to carry around a heavy trunk. He did it in Spaceballs.
That's true. That's true.
This much like I can carry 3 or 4 of these now.
You got like 8 or 9 of these now. That's a movie you got to cover at some point. Spaceballs. So that was my personal summary of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. If there's anything I missed, or did I do a pretty good job with it this time?
I think you covered it all.
It was a much shorter summary than the one I did for
A shorter movie.
10 Commandments.
You're talking about an hour and a half movie next to we have an intermission.
Yeah, I'm also 2 mini bottles of Maker's Mark into this too, but at this point. So I shortened some of the trivia quotes and taglines so we wouldn't be struggling to find good stuff on IMDb. So the trivia I got here is 15 moving facts about planes, trains, and automobiles from mentalfloss.com. So here we go. It was inspired by one of John Hughes's own hellish trips from New York to Chicago. Before he became a filmmaker, he worked as a copywriter for an agency in Chicago. He had to make a presentation in New York on a Wednesday and planned to return home by 5 p.m. flight that evening. Winter winds forced flights to Chicago to be canceled. He stayed in a hotel. Snowstorm in Chicago the next day continued the delays. He didn't make it back until Monday. And this is where he wrote the first 60 pages of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It was supposed to be directed by Howard Dutch, who is a friend of Hughes's and has done some of his other films. But he decided that he was going to direct it himself. And instead, Dutch directed a different John Candy film, The Great Outdoors, the same year.
Twist the paper.
Twist. Maybe I'm trying to heat the flu.
Twist it.
Oh, he's heating the flu.
The rest of the people in here are freezing to
death. Steve Martin originally thought the screenplay was too long. It was a 145-page script, which is a lot for a comedy. He asked Hughes where he thought he was probably going to cut some scenes. Hughes was confused by this. Steve Martin later claims that the original cut of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was close to 4 to 5 hours long.
Holy.
That's probably an exaggeration, but based on like a 145-page script, it was probably over 2 hours at that point. Hughes acted out the entire script to the publicist who was looking to work on the film. So he did like a one-man show for the publicist. This is one of my favorites because this is something I think I would do on a movie, on a set. John Candy arrived with lots of exercise equipment in tow. On the first day of shooting, the crew brought in treadmills, weights, and other exercise equipment for Candy to use in his hotel suite. Steve Martin said Candy never went near any of it once. The Tire movie was supposed to be shot in Chicago, but there wasn't enough snow, so they filmed in Buffalo. Let's see, are there any other good ones? Edie McClurg's improvisation impressed Hughes. So the whole thing that she's doing on the phone where she ululates was all improvisational, including her last line. Well, I'll say you're fucked.
Bleep that out, please.
Yeah. Your Kevin Bacon's cameo would later lead to him being in She's Having a Baby, another John Hughes film. There is a scene in a strip club that was cut from the film. I kind of feel like it's probably a little too much, considering it's supposed to be sort of like a family film, but it would have been interesting to see that. And Star Trek alum Jerry Ryan was in the film, but was cut out at the end of the film.
Was she at the?
He was one of the passengers on the bus ride when they're singing the Flintstones theme song.
Don't make the Flintstones.
She couldn't stop laughing at some of the things that Martin and Candy were doing. She was a kid at the time, probably. And so they had to reshoot some of the scenes without her because she kept laughing in the background. Elton John wrote a song for Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. The song was never released. That's interesting.
Wow.
And the original ending was much different. In the original ending, Del follows Neil all the way home. Hughes decided during the editing process that instead, Candy's character would be a noble person and finally take the hint from Martin's character and let Neil return home alone before Neil has a change of heart and finds Del again. I think that is a better ending, because otherwise it would make it sound like a stalker. Yeah, because then he sounds like a stalker.
Yeah,
I read
up here something.
Yeah.
I read, or I guess it might have been one of the other trivia facts I read, that when they decided to change the ending to make it so that Steve Martin's character goes back, the scenes that you see while he's on the train, where he's, kind of reflecting on the entire experience and everything else, that was filmed, but not specifically for that alternative ending. That was just a cinematographer filming Steve Martin while he just sat and thunk, and then they took those clips that they filmed and then put in the montage to create that alternative ending, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, you're right. I remember reading that too. It wasn't on this list for some reason, but that's a really good one. Yeah, I think even like him laughing in a couple of those scenes was just him laughing at like one of the crew members or something like that. Yeah, that's a cool little fact, and that actually it's something that kind of like works out in their favor because they needed that scene eventually anyway.
Yep.
So next thing I have on here are some of the best quotes. I have a Screen Rant website here with the 15 best quotes from the film. I already claimed the rental car tirade as the quote that I would like to read. So you guys can take the other quotes if you'd like here.
Cool.
Go for it. You gotta scroll down a little bit to get to the first one there. It's the Del Griffith quote is the first one. The finest line a man will walk.
The finest line a man will walk is between success at work and success at home. I got a motto: like your work, love your wife.
So, for as annoying and like abrasive as he can be, every now and then he does drop some wisdom, and that is a little piece of wisdom there. Like your work, love your wife. Have a good home work balance kind of thing. Let's see what we got here. This is a good one. This is Steve Martin. I love Steve Martin. I don't feel like he has as many great.
Please have mercy.
Go ahead. You can do it.
Please have mercy. I've been wearing the same underwear since Tuesday.
Yeah, that is as Steve Martin doesn't have as many great quotes in the film as John Candy does, but that's a good one. I've been wearing the same underwear since Tuesday.
Ooh.
Tuesday.
Oh.
Here's the one we talked about this one already.
Oh,
He's drunk. How would he know where we're going? Oh, what are you drinking, sir?
I just cracked open the pumpkin pie treat.
Not a treat.
No, it's not. Look, man, if I could drink a sour, this would be fantastic. But that sour hit me right in the gums. You know what I'm saying? It's got a great.
Yes, and you got your head way up it.
But oh man, is it sour?
Wow.
Oh,
I saw your reaction and I was like, wow, it has to be pretty bad.
woo. Sorry, didn't
That's
mean to
good.
interrupt
This
the segment.
is a good one too. This is when he's selling the earrings, or he's selling the curtain rings and pretending they're earrings. This is Czechoslovakian ivory.
Czechoslovakian.
Did he say one of them was like signed by John Wayne or something like that? It was it's not like a real weird claim he had. Czechoslovakian ivory.
Much better.
This is a good one too.
Larry Bird,
John
doesn't,
Candy's. Go ahead.
Larry Bird doesn't do as much ball handling in one night as you do in an hour.
Yeah.
Art.
He's got all the best lines in the film. He's accusing Steve Martin of playing with his balls. Doesn't do as much ball handling.
Well, let me just close this conversation by saying you are one unique individual.
That is almost a backhanded compliment.
Mhm.
Because he's saying that to Dell. Here we go. I'm doing this one, baby. I claimed it. This is my favorite scene in the movie. It's Steve Martin's rant at the car rental place. Let's see if I could do this and remember to do this the right way. Because I'm feeling it a little bit right now. He goes up to Eddie McClurg at the counter, and she's like, "Can I help you, sir?" And he's complaining about the fact that he had to walk all this time to find his car, and it wasn't there. And she's smiling at him, and he says, "You can start by wiping that dumbass smile off your cheeks. Then you can give me a automobile, Datsun, Toyota, Mustang, Buick, 4 wheels and a seat." At this point, it doesn't matter what type of car or method of transportation. Poor Neil just wants a way out of this madness that has ensued over the past few days. She says, "Do you have your rental agreement, sir?" And he's like, "No, I do not." She goes, "Well, then you're..." Next one is the "These Aren't Pillows" scene, which we already talked about in the summary of the film. But it's definitely that's, as much as I love the rant, this is probably the funniest scene in the film. I don't know how I would feel if I woke up with my hand inside Mike's ass cheeks.
After looking at his feet all night.
Yeah, so
What's the deal with my feet today? Jeez.
That's just for $1 a month. For $2 a month, you get the butt cheek shots.
for
If I
three-
wanted a joke,
for
I'd
$5
follow you into a
$5
John and watch you take a leak.
For $5 a month, we'll weave a blanket out of Kevin's back hair and send it to you.
There you go. There are people in the Himalayas that would pay good money for my back hair.
$10 a month, Mike will send you a hand-drawn photo of his balloon knot. Yes, if I wanted a joke, I'd follow you into the John and watch you take a leak. This is the scene where he gets punched by the cab driver and then picked up by his nuts. This is the one I said already. I love this one. $6 in my right nut says we're not landing in Chicago. This is after they get done driving in the melted car.
Was that seat hot or what? I feel like a big whopper. Turn me over. I'm done on this side.
He peels his hand off the wheel and it's like finger indentations in the wheel. You think this car is safe to drive, sir? Oh, she ain't much to look at, but she can get where she's going. How am I supposed to go with the flow? When the rental car agency leaves me in a 100-acre parking lot with keys to a car that isn't there, Then I have to hike back 3 miles back to find out they don't have any more cars. This is
I like me. My wife likes me. My customers like me because I'm the real article. What you see is what you get.
and that's his response to that rant from Neil the first night they're staying in the hotel room together. Yeah. And then here is the emotional gut punch. I don't have a home. Marie's been dead for 8 years. One of the reasons Plane, Trains, and Automobiles is often spoken about is for its twist ending. Not an M. Night Shyamalan twist, but one that opened up America's eyes to an ongoing problem that not many were too comfortable talking about: homelessness. Dell had been living on the road for years because there was nowhere else to go. This particular quote was a genuine surprise for the audience that brought the humor of the movie down to earth. Audiences didn't see this coming, but were glad to see Dell on his way home with Neil for Thanksgiving dinner with something he missed for 8 years: family.
Until they open up that trunk. And you
Yeah,
find
and you find his wife's body.
and it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. And Dell starts thinking back to all the issues that were red around him.
Starts to realize that he's the only one he could talk to, and when you realize that Dell's been dead the whole time. When am I ever going to wake up? I wish you were here with me right now, but I guess that's not going to happen. Not now anyway. So they talk about that M. Night Shyamalan twist. You go back and watch it now, you understand what that quote means. He's talking about the wife.
She's not in the trunk, see?
Yeah.
Or she would have been there in the trunk.
So here are the taglines for the film. There are only 3 of them. Steve Martin had no reason to panic, ... until John Candy came along. Second one's terrible. Pack in the laughter. What he really wanted was to spend Thanksgiving with his family. What he got was 3 days with the turkey. Now, that's a much better one. I think that one actually kind of works. They use that one in the trailer. So, one Oscar. Who do you give it to? I think I give it to Kevin Bacon. Best supporting actor, Kevin Bacon, for Guy Who Steals Cab. I mean, I don't know how you give it to anybody but John Candy in this film.
True.
I think John Candy is the heart and soul of the film. The gut punch at the end, like I said, is done really well. The only other person I think I would possibly give it to is John Hughes for the screenplay. The original 4 to 5 hour screenplay, not the one that we see on film.
I don't know. Dylan Baker did a pretty good job.
I told you that's my favorite. That's my favorite cameo in the film. When he's just intensely staring at him while snorting so violently. It's great. She's strong. She pushed the first baby out sideways.
I believe the house that they used, Steve Martin's house, Neil's house, was the same house that they used in Uncle Buck.
Yes, it is. It is. I think it might also be. It is. It's the same one from Uncle Buck. It might also be the same one. I don't think it's the same one from Home Alone.
It's not, because I looked that up. And that's a town over. It's close. It's a town over.
That one was also used in another movie too. I just can't think of what the movie is that it was used in. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's a John Hughes thing, kind of like reuse certain sets. Mike, who would you give your Oscar to?
Oh, it's definitely John Candy.
Yeah, and I don't think you can say anybody but this. So I do this to you guys all the time too. So I'm like, quick Muppet recast.
Well, it's definitely Kermit and Fozzie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, to me, of all the movies that we did this little like Muppet recast experiment with, this was the easiest one for me to do a recast.
Piggy be the only one. Well, you're fucked.
Yes, yeah. So I said there's no way that Kermit isn't Steve Martin's character.
Yeah,
since he's inherently like the straight man in the film. Mm-hmm. And there's no way that Fozzie Bear is not John Candy's character. You can even
really.
I think
we're going to put Scooter in as Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, stealing the cab.
And Gonzo is Owen. Dylan
Yeah.
Baker.
So I had Miss Piggy, like you said, Mike, as the rental car agent, played by Edie McClurg.
Yep.
I had Animal as the Dylan Baker hillbilly driver character.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Neil's wife is Janice because it's the only other female character I can think of. And then you would have like various cameos from some of the other characters, throughout the movie. Gonzo could be the weird cab driver, the Taxiola cab driver. Statler and Wardolph could be like grumpy airline passengers or something like that. The guy that gives them the pickup, the guy driving the truck that picks them up could be like Sweetums. So I was like, I found it really easy to like figure out some characters.
Cameron Wardolph will be the guy looking at the pictures at the beginning. So late to miss his plane.
Yeah. You can have like the Electric Mayhem could be like the bus passengers singing the Flintstones theme song with him. So I think of all the times we ever did like a Muppet recast, this is probably the easiest one.
Mm-hmm.
The big brown bear want to be the cop that pulls him over. How fast you think you're going?
Who would be the guy that throws the fish around? So anyway, you have any beer trivia or history for us this week, Mike?
I have some beer history. Egyptians may have maintained the first commercial beer production facilities. These facilities likely produced beer for burial ceremonies, as it was a necessary provision for the afterlife, medicine, and royalty.
All right. You always have your beer trivia thing. Always seems to like throw an Egyptian one out there every now and then.
Yeah, it's one of the oldest,
And beer was a big thing back then too. So we got a cinema quote for the week.
Ultimately, you have to not worry about what people think, and you should have played him differently. You're the one playing the part, so it has to be yours.
I'm assuming Ewan McGregor is talking about Obi-Wan in that statement.
I would assume.
Surprisingly, he was talking about his role in Moulin Rouge.
You sit on a throne of lies.
He's talking.
What you talking about, Willis? Always he's sitting on a throne of lies. He's drinking from a glass full of lies.
A glass full of lies, can full of lies. Sourest beer ever.
This was too darn sour. I jumped
So,
to a pumpkin cider.
How were your other non-sour beers, Kev?
Well, this pumpkin cider from Harpoon is actually pretty decent, 5% alcohol by volume. It's a little tart, but it's not nearly as tart as this. This is going downstairs to my wife.
she enjoyed that kind of stuff.
She does. She likes the tart
Sours.
ones. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Mike, how's your stuff tonight?
Master of pumpkins. Yes, very good.
Master of Pumpkins. And I was drinking some Maker's Mark whiskey out of little mini fridge bottles. I mean, you're not going to go wrong with Maker's Mark. Maker's Mark is awesome. But I did drink 2 of them, and I think 2 little Maker Marks is a lot. I was going to do tequila. I had tequila ones too. I was like, should I do tequila or Makers? I couldn't make up my mind. Anyway, thank you for joining us.
You had Makers.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us tonight for episode 174, the live episode that was such a surprise that Mike didn't even know about it because I forgot to tell him.
We're live? What?
Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for all the comments we've had.
Yeah, all the comments we had, all the people who came to listen to the show. I had a feeling it was I had a feeling it was going to be like this because I did last minute, but it was worth trying. So again, thank you for joining us tonight for episode 174, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. We hope you enjoyed listening to the podcast as much as we enjoyed recording it for you. Don't forget, you can shoot us an email at filmspresentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmspresentation to find all our social media podcast links. I'm too buzzed right now to try to talk fast. That's not working.
Yeah.
Become part of the Films and Fermentation family by joining us on Patreon, patreon.com/filmsfermentation. Or you can send us a text message at 904-867-4466 if you'd like. We are going to be taking a little bit of a break because Thanksgiving's coming up. We're going to be spending some time with our families, and we'll be recording again in a couple of weeks. So our next new episode will be Tuesday, December 10th. It will be dropping on Tuesday, December 10th. This episode will be coming out the week of Thanksgiving, and then our next episode, as I said, will be December 10th. I don't know what we're doing yet. We're going to be doing some Christmas-themed episodes, in the fact that it'll be the holiday season at that point. So we'll let you know as we get closer to that time. That'll be episode 175, by the way. Will be our next episode. In the meantime, thank you for stopping to the road. Thank you for stopping by the crossroads between Pickled and Fermented. Yes.
And we're lively.
I'm pretty sure I'm still Leo.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Mike.
And this has been the Films and Fermentation Podcast live.
Happy
Cheers,
Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
See y'all later.